Hello everyone, Professor Thompson here. This is video 2 on February 8th. So I produced the first one, a short one, just reminded you to follow the deadlines and get your work in by Sunday the 10th and so forth. But I had a couple email exchanges with some students and a couple text message exchanges with some students over the last several hours, which really caused me to want to put out a second video. So this isn't directed at anybody specific. It's really kind of taking 5 or 6 different people's questions and concerns and feeling like I want everybody to hear it. First, as I said in my first video, keep your topics simple, right? Don't try and cover. The example I used in a recent conversation was I've spent 2 75-minute face-to-face class sessions talking about public speaking anxiety, the triggers of public speaking anxiety, the treatments of anxiety, the history of the study of anxiety, and in 2 75-minute sessions, I'm still not done. I'm going to go in next week and talk about it some more. So don't try and take a topic like that and talk about it in a 5 to 7 minute speech. You're going to want to talk about just, here are 3 causes of anxiety, or here are 3 treatments to public speaking anxiety. Keep it simple when you're doing your speeches. I'm not grading you down for simplicity, okay? I'm looking for clarity of your messages, making sure that you have 3 clear, simple body points. Make sure that you have your introduction, body, conclusion. Make sure that you're transitioning between your points, clear bridges. That's in chapter 10. Look at table 10.2 on transitions. What are those? How do those sound? Make sure that those are complete sentence transitions. Making sure that you're orally citing your sources. I have a handout in each unit about oral source citations. You got to make sure you're orally citing your stuff correctly. Okay, so make sure it's simple. Make sure that you include your citations. Make sure that you are paying attention to that structure. You know, that's why you were supposed to look at chapters 9, 10, 11, 12, and so on, right? You're building off of that content. Okay, the other kind of question that's come up has to do with your visual aid. Yes, you have to have one visual aid in the speech. If you do not use one, you'll be deducted points. But really ask yourself, does the visual aid I've chosen enhance or extend my message? You know, if you're showing a little teeny laptop screen this big and you have 8 people in a room, can they really see that? Or was that a bad choice of a visual aid? Could I have printed off copies and given them a handout, or could I have shown an object that was more effective? Does my visual aid, does being able to see that or taste it or hear it or feel it, does that extend what I'm saying orally? And if it doesn't enhance and extend what I'm saying, it might not be a good visual aid, you know? So I want you to begin to think more critically and even flip the script and think of, when I'm an audience member, what would be meaningful to me if I was listening to a topic on this, right? You don't have to use a PowerPoint. And in fact, I'm often a person to discourage PowerPoint, but I am very much in, how are you making an impact on your audience and conveying something to them that just what you are saying orally wasn't enough? So evaluate yourself in the process of public speaking. I think the final thing that kind of came up too was about kind of the delivery. I've heard 3 or 4 students talk about papers, and I want to reemphasize that this is a speech class. This is not an English class. You are not writing a paper. You are not turning in a paper. You're going to give me an outline, right? But what I'm looking for is that the speech. That's why you're gathering people. That's why you're speaking in front of them. I want to see that experience. I want to, feel like I'm part of it. I want to be an audience member. And yes, you are graded on how well your presentation is written, which is a component, but you're also evaluated on how well you connect with your audience, how well you're sharing and conveying good delivery with me in your recording. Do you have eye contact? Are you smiling? Are you gesturing? Are you engaged and animated? Or do you look like I just kicked your dog and you're depressed and you're down and, you want to make sure that the body language and the way in which you speak passionately about a topic, you want to make sure that comes across. So do not read your speech. Do not read your notes. Do not do that kind of thing on your video. I think one of the biggest errors that people make is that they just don't put the effort in, and you've had 23 days to prepare for this speech and this presentation. And so you should have been practicing. Many of you haven't submitted your videos, and you're probably waiting until you could gather the people and get the venue or whatever you were doing logistically to make that happen. But that doesn't mean over the last 7 days you could not have been practicing your speech. So you want to make sure that you are prepared for success, and part of that means practicing your speech. You would never want to have the first time you give your speech be when somebody holds up a camera and says record or action, right? I mean, if you were in my shoes, how would you feel about that, right? Would you be looking at a student putting their best foot forward? Would that be their best work? Probably not, right? So much like you would get ready for another class, there's elements of preparation in this one. So please make sure that you're doing your due diligence and you're taking ownership of this experience and this academic journey, and practice your speeches. It might be too late for Unit 1, so you need to do the best you can possibly do now to finish the first speech, this first presentation. But, going into Unit number 2, you're going to have, an extended amount of time. You're going to have more than just 48 hours or whatnot. You're going to have 14 days or something to not only produce, write, but also work on delivery of that message. So something to kind of think about and take ownership with. And if there are questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I will let you know that, I am not your IT support. I am not the technical guru. That's why I always encourage you to try and do things early, so that you're not waiting until the last minute and you feel like there's no support for you. If I was getting questions about uploading videos yesterday or today, cool. But if it's Sunday night at 10 o'clock at night and you're trying to text me or you're trying to email me because something's not working, it seems to me like you waited until the last minute. And one of the things I always say to my students is, a time management problem on your end does not result in an emergency on my end. So you want to make sure that you're, again, putting yourself in a position for success, allowing yourself time to work out technical difficulties, whether that be to call the student help desk, whether that be to engage GoReact help support, whether that's respectful of my time. I mean, again, emailing me at 10:30 at night or something is probably not a good thing, right? I mean, I'm probably doing something with my family or getting to bed so that I can be ready for work the next day. I'm not actively checking my email at 10:30 at night. So something to think about. Good luck. Hopefully you've watched both the videos. Do what you got to do. Meet the state requirements. We'll talk to you later.